There's a kind of light some people carry, the kind that fills a room, warms a soul, and leaves an imprint that doesn't fade even after they're gone. Eliza Fletcher was one of those people. A teacher, a mother, a wife, Eliza wasn't just a teacher or a mother. She was an athlete at heart. From the time she was a little girl, the soccer field was her sanctuary. At Hutchison School, she quickly made a name for herself, known for her explosive speed and relentless determination. That passion carried her to the University of Memphis, where she proudly wore the Tigers jersey and helped lead her team to a championship victory during her sophomore year. Her coach remembered her not just for her athleticism, but for the way she smiled through every sprint, even during the toughest drills. That's just who she was: joyful, driven, and full of heart. And even after transferring to Baylor University, Liza's dedication to sports and fitness never wavered. Whether coaching, teaching, or running before sunrise, movement was part of her soul. And this bright light extinguished far too soon. Welcome to Dark Matters TV, where we tell each story with love and respect for the victims and their families. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a case. And if you have been with us and yet to subscribe, go ahead. Your support helps us to shade more light to these stories to help understand them better. Eliza Fletcher, born Eliza Welford on November 9, 1987, in Memphis, Tennessee, grew up surrounded by love and opportunity. Her parents, Adele and James Welford, were deeply rooted in the Memphis community. She had one sibling, a brother named Gil, and together they were raised in a stable, faith-centered home. From a young age, Liza attended St. Mary's Episcopal School, an all-girls private institution where she began to shine. She later moved on to Hutchison School, a college preparatory academy where her talents, especially in soccer, bloomed. Her athleticism and drive eventually took her to the University of Memphis, where she played collegiate soccer and was even part of a championship-winning team during her sophomore year. Her coach once said, "It might sound cliché, but she literally always had a smile on her face. Even when I had to get on her, she'd still smile." That's just who she was. But Liza didn't just shine on the field. After transferring to Baylor University, she earned a degree in exercise and sports science, followed by a master's degree in teaching from Belmont University. She returned to her roots, teaching kindergartners and coaching soccer at Promise Academy, before becoming a junior kindergarten teacher at St. Mary's, her childhood school. To her students, Liza was a real-life Miss Honey from Matilda, patient, joyful, nurturing. She decorated her home with her students' artwork and found innovative ways to keep them engaged, even during the isolation of the COVID-19 pandemic. She recorded heartfelt videos, like one of her singing, "This Little Light of Mine," always reminding her kids that their light mattered. It was at Second Presbyterian Church in Memphis where Eliza met Richard Fletcher, known as Richie. Both were active in the church's youth and music ministries. The two fell in love, and on March 8, 2014, they were married in that same church. Their union was more than a ceremony. It was a partnership deeply tied to faith, family, and community. They would go on to have 2 young sons, and by all appearances, they were living the kind of life many dream of: a tight-knit home, stable careers, and strong family values. To friends and family, Eliza was a walking smile, a woman whose kindness seemed endless. But behind her cheerful presence, danger loomed closer than anyone could have anticipated. It was the early morning of September 2nd, 2022, around 4 a.m., when Eliza Fletcher left her home for her usual run. The sun had not yet risen. Memphis was still asleep. She ran along her regular route near the University of Memphis, something she'd done countless times before. But at 4:20 a.m., surveillance footage captured a chilling moment. A black GMC Terrain SUV approached her as she jogged by. A man exited the vehicle, ran toward her, and forcibly dragged her into the car. The entire abduction took less than 30 seconds. Liza never returned home. She only went out for a run, maybe to clear her head, maybe to make it back in time to get breakfast ready for her boys, to pack their school bags, to be the kind of present mother she always was. Women should be free to run whenever they please, early morning, late evening. It should never be a gamble with their lives. But the truth is, we live in a world where monsters don't always hide in the dark. Some wait for opportunity in daylight. So please be vigilant out there. And as we continue to search for answers and share Liza's story, take a moment to subscribe. Your support helps us keep her memory alive and shine light on the dangers so many women face in silence. When Liza failed to return from her run, Richard reported her missing around 7 a.m. Within hours, police found her water bottle and shattered phone near the scene of the abduction. Using surveillance and forensic evidence, investigators identified their suspect quickly. Cleotha Abston, a 38-year-old man with a long criminal history, including a violent kidnapping at age 16. Authorities discovered Abston's DNA on Liza's sandals, found near the abduction site. His car was located by police, and Abston was arrested on September 3, 2022, just a day after Liza vanished. But Liza still hadn't been found. On September 5th, in a grassy area near Victor Street, behind an abandoned duplex, a decomposing body was discovered. It was Eliza Fletcher. She had died from a gunshot wound to the head, according to the autopsy. Authorities believe she was murdered shortly after the abduction. Her life taken in cold blood before dawn ever broke. Cleotha Abston was no stranger to the system. At just 16, he had kidnapped Memphis attorney Kemper Durand, forcing him into a trunk at gunpoint. He served 20 years and was released in 2020, just 2 years before abducting Liza. Despite his prior crime, he had slipped through the cracks of rehabilitation and supervision. He lived a life marked by violence, and according to those close to him, was described as aggressive and mentally unstable. Following Liza's abduction and death, he was charged with first-degree murder, kidnapping, tampering with evidence, and more. Memphis was devastated. Hundreds gathered for vigils outside St. Mary's School, Second Presbyterian Church, and along her jogging route. Her family issued a statement. Liza was a joy to so many: her family, her friends, her students, her colleagues, and her church community. Now it's time to remember and honor her light. Her funeral was held on September 10, 2022, where loved ones shared memories of her laughter, her songs, and her strength. Eliza's story inspired not just grief but change. In her memory, the Let's Finish Liza's Run campaign went viral. Women across Memphis and beyond ran her route in solidarity. Her school established the Eliza Fletcher Memorial Fund to support children's education, the very mission she dedicated her life to. Her husband, Richard, continues to raise their 2 sons, surrounded by a community determined to keep Liza's light alive. Eliza Fletcher didn't just live, she radiated. She left behind a legacy of compassion, resilience, and joy. And though her life was cut short in the most horrific of ways, her story reminds us all to be kind, to stay vigilant, and to never let our light dim in the face of darkness. Cleotha Abston wasn't an unknown threat. He had a violent past, a history of kidnapping, and every warning sign was there. He had already proven what he was capable of, yet somehow he was allowed back into society without proper oversight. If justice had truly been served, if the system had protected the public the way it was supposed to, maybe, just maybe, Liza would still be here, tucking her boys into bed instead of becoming a true crime headline. Some people, like Abston, show the world exactly who they are, and they should never be given another chance to destroy innocent lives. If stories like this matter to you, help us keep them alive. Hit that subscribe button, share your thoughts in the comments, and join us as we continue to shine a light on the lives behind the headlines. This is Dark Matters TV, and stand with us as we fight to make sure this never happens again. Until next time, stay safe, stay woke.